Hello and welcome to Motoroids. My name's Guru and this is the all-new for 2024 Force Motors Gurkha 5-door. To keep this video short and sweet, we're going to go straight into the meat of it. So what's new in the 2024 Gurkhas, both the 3-door and the 5-door? The first thing is the engine has been retuned. What was previously a 91 horsepower engine now produces 140 horsepower and 320 Newton meters of torque. This is the same 2.6 litre OM 616 engine which was there in the previous Gurkha. It's been massaged and they've managed to extract a lot more power out of it, more than 50% more than what was there before. So that's the first impressive fact. So the owners of the old Gurkha will be aware of the issues with the front lower arm, which is the suspension components up front. In this, if you come closer, in this vehicle, you can see that the lower arms have been completely redesigned to offer far more ground clearance. So it's less likely that you're going to strike any rocks or obstacles in general in the new model. And this is common to both the 3-door and the 5-door. So obviously the biggest change is the addition of 2 more doors and seating for 7 in the new 5-door Gurkha. So up front we have 2 captain seats, both with built-in armrests. The middle row has a bench seat. Now this seat is not adjustable. It doesn't slide back and forth and it's also not tilt adjustable, but this now seats 3. And right at the back, surprise, you have 2 full-size captain seats. As a comfort and convenience feature for the people sat in the middle and rear row, you have now a AC vent built in over here. The Gurkha, both the 3 and the 5-door, now come with electronically adjustable ORVMs. So both the 3 and the 5-door Gurkhas now come with a 9-inch touchscreen entertainment unit. This, however, does not have Android Auto or Apple CarPlay. It instead uses something known as Carbit, which is another app that you need to download and install. And honestly, I think they should have just given Android Auto and Apple CarPlay in 2024. So what happens when you end up using Carbit is it mirrors your phone display. So although this is a 9-inch touchscreen, you only get to see your phone display as a vertical line over here on the screen. Not the most useful in my opinion. Also new for 2024, and this new instrument cluster is a 7-inch LCD display, which has replaced the analog dials with a sort of digital display. The left and right though, which is where you see the engine temperature and the fuel levels, it's not digital, it's more of a sort of analog display with some LEDs behind it. The center portion is digital, and now the TPMS, which used to be a separate unit sitting somewhere over here, like an aftermarket afterthought, is now integrated into the display. Yes, this is a step forward for the Gurkha and for Force Motors in general. It's more modern compared to what they had before. So the engine has 2 performance modes. One is Eco, which is, as you can see in the display over here, it shows up in green color under the speedometer and it just says Eco mode. And when I push this button again, it switches into power mode. So now you can see there is a power PWR mode displayed in the display. There is a significant difference in performance between Eco and Power. I would say the Eco mode feels more like the older 91 horsepower Gurkha, and the Power mode, you certainly feel it's a bit more powerful, there's a bit more torque, a lot more eager response. Also new for 2024 is the auto start stop feature. So you push that button to engage it. It's a fuel saving measure provided by Force Motors. The air conditioner controls are old school, completely manual. So you can set your temperature here and your blower speed over here. There is no automatic climate control in any of the options. Also new in the 5-door model is this rear AC vent or blower. So there is no vent connected to the air conditioner to the compressor over here. All it does is it takes in the air from the front of the cabin and through the blower it sends it out to the back. And the controls for it are over here. It's a nice touch. It should have ideally been delivered cold air directly from the compressor, but this is still better than not having anything for the people who are sat in the back. The media drive of the Gurkha was held on an extremely hot day, probably around 40 degrees Celsius, and the air conditioner performance was amazing. But I must add, that I noticed that all the media drive vehicles had sun film installed by Force Motors. This is certainly not a standard feature, and most traffic cops will not entertain any sort of sun film in the vehicle. Factory tinted glass is not even an option. So take our inputs about the air conditioner performance with a pinch of salt, because I'm pretty sure that the sun film is skewing the results. From a comfort and convenience standpoint, we now have captain seats with armrests in the front. Previously, we used to have only rear parking sensors. Now we also have a rear parking camera. The earlier turning radius of the Gurkha 3-door was 5.65 meters. That has now been improved thanks to the steering geometry upgrades to 5.5 meters. The new Gurkha comes with an electronic shift transfer case to shift between 2 high, 4 high and 4 low. Just put the car in neutral and switch it to 4 high, and you will see in the instrument display 4H. And in off-road situations where you need a bit more torque, just switch that to 4 low, and the 4 high on the display will switch off, and now you see 4L displayed. Now that they've shifted to this electronic shifter for the transfer case, the lever, short lever which used to be here for that purpose is gone and replaced with a small storage cubbyhole. Both variants of the Gurkha come with dual airbags only. So you have a front airbag for the passenger and one in the steering for the driver. There are no side curtain airbags for any of the passengers in the back, and that's a bit of a miss in my opinion. Also new for 2024 is the telescoping steering. So the previous Gurkha used to have a tilt adjustable steering. The new one also does telescoping, and it's a very hard mechanism which needs a lot of force to deploy, but at least now you do have a little bit of adjustability in the steering as well. The middle row in the 5-door Gurkha seats 3, but if you have only 2 passengers, they can then deploy the armrest for a bit more comfort and convenience. From a safety standpoint, the 2 passengers sat on either extreme get 3-point seat belts, and the middle passenger gets a lap belt. So previously in the 3-door Gurkha, the middle row or the last row passengers who had a captain seat only got a lap belt. But in the new Gurkha, even the 3rd row gets a 3-point seat belt. The funniest thing is, the 3rd row is in fact more comfortable than the middle row in the 5-door Gurkha. For a bit of added convenience for the poor people sat in the most comfortable seats, that is the 3rd row, there are also 2 bottle holders provided. So I shared my views with the Force team, and I suggested that rather than giving so much space for the 3rd row, it's a more likely use case scenario where a family of 5 would want to travel, or a family of 4 would want to travel with luggage on a long trip. If they had provided an adjustable middle row seat which could be slid back and forth, or compromise the 3rd row a little bit more and given more space in the middle row, more legroom and more under thigh support, while still giving enough space for luggage and maybe 2 child seats in the back, it may have been a better configuration for the 5-door Gurkha. And the reason why I suggested that this middle row of seats should be adjustable is because this is the seat set to my driving position, and I don't know how many people have legs that would fit into this gap over here. Had this seat been adjustable, pull a lever, slide it back another 6 inches or 8 inches, it would have made the middle row far more usable. So as a 5-seater for 5 people, pushing this seat back would have been a far better choice to make. Another downside is this is a fixed bench. So you cannot adjust the recline angle. You cannot pull this seat back down flat if you want to store something longer in the car. Or if you're overlanding and you want to make a bed sort of arrangement in the back while still having enough seating for 3 or 4. Have the seats up when you're driving and put them down flat. It would have been an ideal scenario. Unfortunately, you can't do that in the Gurkha as it is. What was nice though is when I raised these points to the Force Motors team, they were very eager to hear the inputs, and they were very supportive of helping owners do these modifications. So they were suggesting situations where you could remove the bench seat and put the 2 captain seats here in the middle row to seat 4, and then the amount of space you would have for luggage would be immense. So the product team in charge of developing this 5-door Gurkha, they were also very conducive to the idea of having an adjustable middle row. So who knows, maybe somewhere down the line you'll see a version of the Gurkha where this seat can be slid back and forth to create more legroom, and then you can use a wider or longer seat base for more under thigh support. So in addition to the driver's airbag and 3-point seat belt, you also have a collapsible steering column, which is new for 2024. And in case of frontal impacts, where the driver tends to be thrown towards the steering wheel, having a collapsible steering column will make a difference. The previous version of the Gurkha used to come with a 245/70 R16 tire, which is a 16-inch alloy, a 245 section and a 70 aspect ratio. So basically what it meant is it had nice thick sidewalls. The new Gurkhas, both the 3 and the 5 door, come with a 255/65 R18. So now you have 18-inch big meaty alloys, and you have a 255 section and a 65 aspect ratio. So yes, the sidewall height has come down. While driving it on the road, I didn't feel any major difference in the ride quality as such. It was perfectly acceptable ride quality. You will get a lot more tire options now that you have an 18-inch alloy, and it just looks better.
In line with the adventurous nature of the Gurkha, these tires are all-terrain tires provided straight from the factory, saving you the expense of shopping for them later. The 5-door model looks really proportional compared to the 3-door, which looks too tall and wide for how short it is. The 5-door has none of these issues. This looks just right. Ineos Grenadier kind of right. Land Rover Defender 90 series kind of right. You know what I mean.
I want to make a quick point, and I don't want to come off overly negative, but the quality of the plastics and the switchgear, the owners were hoping for an improvement compared to the previous model. I don't think that point has been achieved yet. Still a lot of very hard plastics. And the problem is not so much that it's hard. Like in a Thar or Maruti Jimny, you do have hard plastics everywhere, but there's a certain feel and quality to it. But in the Gurkha, it kind of feels cheap. Like over here, you already have this 12-volt socket cover which is popping out, not staying in place. The quality of the switchgear in the new electronic transfer case shifter is very, very low quality, very low grade plastics. So the door handles, the quality of the plastic is really poor. I mean, this is a great quality of plastics. Even the fit and finish leaves a lot to be desired. So the problem with having a lower grade of plastics or general quality issues is that they most often tend to occur in the customer's first touch points when they get inside a car. The moment you get into the car, the steering wheel feels all right. It's not great, but it's okay. Again, quality of plastics.
The steering wheel is extremely basic. There are no steering mounted controls for audio or telephony or even cruise control. It doesn't help that the infotainment system has an extremely unfriendly layout for use while on the move.
Just entering the car and you want to shut the door handle, and then the door latch, the quality is really low. Straight away, the expectation of the customer, the opinion of the customer is going to take a downturn, right? And then you come further in, and the most critical point, which is switching between 2-wheel drive and 4 high and 4 low, switchgear plastic is very poor. Had Force Motors spent a little bit more time on the fit, finish and feel, the quality of the parts, which is where the customer would touch the car and interact with the car, I think that would have done a world of good for them. What is really good though is that the seats seem to be reprofiled a bit. They have a lot more bolstering and a lot more supportive. I'm getting a decent amount of lumbar support, and I'm very comfortable sat in this seat. The driving position is also pretty amazing. That hasn't changed from one model to the other, but overall the seats are really nice now. I think this is a very comfortable cabin to be in, and all the way from the first row till the third row, the seating has really taken a huge step forward. So the new for 2024 Force Gurkha comes with a 3-year, 1.5 lakh kilometer warranty. The accessories that you can see here, like this grab bar, the roof rack and the ladder in the back, these are not standard. So these you have to opt for them when you pick up the car. I think it's around 25 or 30,000 rupees. It's totally worth it. Lifts the the visual appeal of the car significantly. So as I mentioned, the ladder is an optional accessory, and you might need it when you want to load things on the roof rack at the back. The rear door of the Gurkha is pretty wide, heavy, and it also has the spare wheel mounted on it. I would have liked to see this come with a hydraulic strut to hold it open. I thought about it, and then the downside of it is that your ingress into the third row is through the back. So once you climb in, this door has to be force shut if you have a hydraulic strut at the back. So it's kind of a You need it, but you can't have it, or you want it and you don't need it. You make up your mind about that. Personally, I would have loved to have a hydraulic strut over there just to keep this open. On any kind of slope, this door is going to slam shut on you, whether you want it to or not. So I've asked Mayuresh to get into the front seat because I think it'll be a more fair assessment of the kind of room that you will have in the Gurkha. So that's Mayuresh. He's now setting his driving position. You're comfortable? So Mayuresh is 5'11", and he has just adjusted the seat from my position, and I'm 6'2". And now he is comfortable. Now Mayuresh, can you get into the middle row seat, please? So as you can see here, he is sat behind his own seating position. So as 5'11" a driver and a 5'11" passenger sat in the back, there's practically no legroom available. So I would say if you are 5'8" in the driver's seat, then somebody who is also 5'8" or 9" can sit comfortably in the back. This is certainly not going to be comfortable with 4 6-footers in the car. Another problem for tall drivers in the Gurkha is that even if you are able to get yourself sat behind the wheel, when you want to shut the door and the steering wheel are really close to each other. So if you come in here, you can see the gap for me. So that's about how much space I have. Barely half an inch between my thigh and the steering wheel. And this is where you have to lift your foot from the throttle to the brake. So I don't know, maybe over a long drive, this could become a bit of an annoyance. The new Force Gurkha retains the good looks of its predecessor. It improves on the ground clearance. Where the previous Gurkha had a ground clearance of 205 mm, the new Gurkha has a GC of 233 mm. It retains the same 700 mm water wading capacity, which was there in the previous model as well. Both the 3-door and the 5-door have excellent approach and departure angles. The 5-door has 28 degrees ramp over and 37 degree departure angle, and a gradability of 35 degrees. The 5-door has a wheelbase of 2825 mm. That's 2825 mm. So we are now at the ramp over test. Now this is the long wheelbase 5-door Gurkha. So it will touch down in the center section. Primarily it is the gearbox mount where there's a cross member. You could just hear that, a little bit of a slight grinding. And behind the gearbox mount where I'm sat, you will find the chassis cross member. So those two are protrusions under the vehicle where during a ramp over you will tend to touch. So it's a good idea to get a set of strong transfer case guards because the transfer case is sat right in between the two of them. The 3-door has a wheelbase of 2400 mm. Ramping over and it didn't touch anywhere. So the 3-door cleared it quite easily. So you're getting 425 mm more wheelbase, and that's where the space has been created to insert another row of seats. Talking about the weight, the laden weight of the 3-door is 2800 kilograms and the laden weight of the 5-door is 3125 kilos. So the 5-door Gurkha is 325 kilograms heavier than the 3-door. So I'm happy to say that the change from the 245/70 R16 to the 255/65 R18 has not impacted the ride quality significantly. In fact, I'm able to glide over bad patches of roads pretty much the same imperious manner that the 3-door, the previous Gurkha managed. So that right there is a very, very impressive development, because now with the 18-inch you have more option for aftermarket tires, performance mud terrains and all-terrain tires, and it looks so much better to see the car standing on these huge rims. So that's a very, very good development from the Gurkha's perspective. Now talking about the handling, the amount of body roll which was there in the 2022 Gurkha is still there in this Gurkha as well. It's not a lot. It's quite controlled. It's not something that will make itself apparent to you when you drive the car. So controlling the body roll is something that they've managed in the 3 and the 5-door. So the 5-door is 320 kilos heavier than the 3-door, but they still managed to tune the suspension accordingly, so both feel about the same. When you drive the 5-door, it doesn't feel different from the 3-door, and I think that's crucial, that's important from the point of view of somebody who's trying to consider, hey, I have a 3-door, I want a 5-door, what am I going to lose in handling? You know, it's about the same. Turning radius also, I would say it's marginally different, not something that's going to make itself known to you and put you off. Even the engine performance between the 3-door and 5-door feels about the same. I am sure the 3-door is probably going to be quicker to get to 100 or 60 because of, you know, the fact that it has less weight, but the 5-door doesn't feel sluggish either. Now, we spoke about the body roll. There is one issue or one area of this vehicle that I would like to see tuned out a little bit. It's the nervousness of the suspension. It is very direct, it's very immediate. There is very, very little dead zone. At the same time, dead zone is fine, you know. What matters more is how the steering wheel just kind of ramps up. It's very aggressive, the curve. It's not very linear. So even at speed, you're constantly correcting, you know, between left and right, because the slightest touch will send the car off in another direction. So I want the steering to be actually dampened a little bit more, maybe dulled down a little bit in the middle portion, just to make it easier to live with at high speeds on the highway. So when it comes to convenience, they've provided small cubby holes all over the cabin. You'll find one under the left side AC vent, one under the right side AC vent. You'll find a cubby hole right under the AC controls. Then there are cubby holes on the center console as well, which you can use to store small items and mobile phones and stuff. So some storage has been provided, but small things are again missing, like your sun visor doesn't have a mirror. So I've never used it myself, as you know, there's no real reason to, but there are people who might want to check their hair or makeup before they go out, and if you look here, there is no mirror provided on the visor. So one thing I wanted to point out about the handling is the 5-door seems to be much more settled on speed breakers and rumble strips, whereas the 3-door does a lot of pitching. I'm right now in the 3-door, and I drove the same route in the 5-door. The 5-door is the extended wheelbase. It's far more settled, whereas the 3-door does a lot of porpoising. So if you want a bit more comfort, then you might want to consider the 5-door over the 3-door. So Force Motors has really stepped up the game when it comes to the new Gurkha. The addition of the 5-door model makes the Gurkha incredibly practical right off the bat. The extra room inside makes it more viable for long trips with 4 to 5 adults with luggage. There are, however, some opportunities for improvement, particularly with the fit and finish and the quality of the plastics. The new engine has taken the Gurkha a huge leap forward in the performance department, and there's really not a whole lot to complain about how the vehicle rides and performs. It's important for Force to achieve commercial success with the Gurkha, and it's also very important for the four-wheel drive community to have more options. Right now we have only the Thar and the Jimny in the sub 20 to 25 lakh bracket.
At the time of this video's release, Force Motors have announced the pan-India pricing of the 3 and 5-door Gurkha. The 3-door variant is priced at 16,75,000 and the 5-door at 18 lakhs, ex-showroom, exclusive of accessories, taxes, registration and insurance.
Thank you for watching Motoroids. Please like, share and subscribe. And if you really enjoyed this video, let us know in the comment section below. If you have any thoughts on the 5 and 3-door Gurkhas and the revisions that have been made, please discuss in the comment section and we'll be happy to engage with you. Thank you.
One minute job to sit there. Huh?